The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program. It's November the 11th and you are with the Editor-in-Chief live.
Duncan Garner, live.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome along to the program. Leave us a comment. All the details are there. What do you know about artificial intelligence? What questions do you have? And where is all this taking us? Tonight, we have Tom Gruber with us, the co-founder of Siri, the man who promotes humanistic AI or artificial intelligence to help us be better and smarter as human beings. So where is artificial intelligence taking us? We are going through not just an economic recession and change, but also the world's going through massive technological change. Perhaps the greatest time to be alive, perhaps the scariest as well. It's happening so fast. Do smarter machines mean smarter humans, or humans cast aside? Surely we wouldn't design a system that makes us irrelevant, would we? The doom merchants say robots will replace 4 billion jobs in the next 10 years, but does the sky ever fall in? New jobs and new industries are created all the time, and we will always need human communication skills, collaboration, kindness and empathy. Can AI make humans smarter, and can it work with us rather than go to war against us? So let's get into it.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, welcome folks. Nice to have you along this tonight. Siri, can you please get me Tom Gruber on the show, please? Thank you very much. That's kind. Thank you. If you use Siri on your phone or you meet with colleagues in a virtual workspace or you use a computer to help you speak, it's likely my next guest invented it or was involved at critical stages of its development. Tom, good evening. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Welcome to New Zealand.
I love it here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you've just been here, 24 hours?
Just a couple of days, but it's great. And I can't wait to see the country. It's amazing.
Yeah, welcome. Siri, did you know what you're getting yourself into there when you started it? Did you look back now and think, wow?
Well, it is kind of amazing. It's used 1 billion times a day now, so the impact is really there. But it's also last year's model, right?
Yeah. Well, you got to keep ahead, don't you, I suppose?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time, 13 years ago, it was kind of this cutting edge in AI and for consumer applications, right? It was the thing. And it introduced that model of like, how do you talk to the thing in the cloud with the thing in your hand? And nobody's really improved on the basic idea that you want an assistant in your hand.
No, and it's still, what is it, 13 years, is it?
Yeah, 13 years.
So 13 years later, it's still as is, isn't it?
Still does this job, but we're all looking forward to, the next wave of personal AI, where we have these large language models and they can really, really have a bit of a conversation with you.
And so we're at that stage now?
I think, we're there. I mean, it's not personalized yet, though. So the big companies haven't quite got that.
No, but it's happening rapidly, though, isn't it?
They're all moving that way. I think Google and Apple in particular have a chance at that.
They do, though. You talk about humanistic AI. So is that a softer way of saying you won't be replaced in your job? Or what does it mean?
Well, it's a way of thinking about sort of what you would want to do. Where would you place your bets in AI? Should you place your bets on automating and things that humans do? Or should you place your bets on augmenting what people do? And so the automating thing is like, if I'm going to be like a factory worker on a dangerous factory floor, I want to automate that job because I want that done by a robot. But if I want to say, do skilled, healthcare delivery or any number of things, I want to augment them. I want to give them better tools. So there's roles for both. The humanistic is doing the thing that helps the human.
But it's too simplistic to say that we're going to be replaced. There's nothing there for us. It's not correct.
There's really no sense in thinking. No, there's no way of that. That's going to happen. But everybody's job will either. Jobs will be replaced in some cases, but most jobs in the near term will be augmented or they'll be transformed so that part of your job is automated. Right? I
spoke to someone recently who said the soft skills versus the hard skills. So if you're an accountant now, then be careful because they'll have something, well, they already do. Soft skills, empathy, collaboration, cooperation, meeting people, shaking hands, talking. We're always going to need face-to-face. Correct?
Yeah, we are. Well, I mean, I think machines are going to be really good at fooling us. That's the problem. They're already pretty good at that in social media.
Yes.
And they're going to be better at that in these conversational systems. So I don't think that we're the only game in time is soft skills. In fact, they'll probably be better, hucksters than we are.
We probably don't know the jobs that we're going into, do we, in the next 50
Well, I mean,
years?
Jobs are going to be there because, a bunch of people get together to try to make money together. If half of the work is automated, then the other half, the people who are doing that are going to do other things. I'll give you an example, like in creative marketing services, say. If you do anything having to do with content, like advertising or social media content, of course you need content. And so you're going to automate that to a great extent. But all the parts that the real strategists do, like what markets should we enter? What should be our brand? And
That's human behavior.
That's human right now.
Right. So you always have humans behind there making the AI.
Yeah.
But do they get to the point where they make it so smart that it beats us?
Well, it beats us at things like games. You know, it beats us at games.
We know
like
that,
that.
yeah.
And it beats us whenever there's a really clearly defined task that has data to automate. And that'll be the case. You know, now some things are really hard to do right now, but we want it to beat us at certain things. Like we're not very good at, for instance, like doing nuclear fusion. So if it can do a better job than that, let it do that.
What don't we know yet? I mean, it's such a stupid question. What don't we know yet? But what's being worked on now? Do we think in terms of AI?
What do we don't know about AI? Or
What don't we know?
Yeah.
Which is a very hard thing to answer because if we don't know it, we don't know it. But what is it that could happen in the future with AI?
Oh yeah, well we don't know right now is how to make AI that doesn't make stuff up. It hallucinates crazy right now, and everyone's like, hey, we just give more compute to it, it'll get better. It's not getting better. So the AI right now is sort of at a standstill in the sense of it's really good at generating stuff and making things up.
Yes.
And it's really good at making things up. It doesn't know the difference. So we don't know what'll happen. We don't know whether they'll actually be able to solve those problems. So you can actually trust the thing to tell you the truth.
Well, we have it now, don't we? We have ChatGPT. We have all that.
Yeah.
And that is a wonderful, wonderful tool.
It's lovely, and it hallucinates like crazy every time I use it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I know that. I call it a fiction machine.
Do you trust it?
No, I trust it to give me interesting ideas, or to do a simple query something for me.
But it's got to get better than that, doesn't it? It has to get more sophisticated than that.
It should. They have a lot of money right on it getting better than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do they make it better? And there's a level of, we don't know whether, for instance, it'll ever have a really deep sense of what's true or not in the world. We only know that it's really it's imitating us when it thinks.
But is that because we're programming it?
Well, we're teaching it by example. So what we do is we say, here, read the internet.
Yes.
And that's our example. We say, everything that was said on the internet, good and bad, whatever they feed the thing.
But it reads enormous amounts of
It
information.
reads 1,000 lifetimes of stuff. Amazing.
This is remarkable.
Yeah.
And that makes me come to the question of what's it capable of?
Well,
because we don't know, do we?
Well, a lot of things, if you think about anything that takes language as an input and creates language as an output, is a task they could possibly do. Like they took on some really hard tasks like pass the law exam in the U.S. And the thing can pass the law. It could practice law if it's just a matter of taking tests. Crazy. But that's not what lawyers do, it turns out. That's just
They still charge.
they still charge.
What about fix this person? We need to get this surgeon. The surgeon's held up. Can't get there, so they need to do the operation. Can AI do the operation?
They can't do any operations right now.
No.
And they're not. I mean, also robotics is behind a regular AI that talks about language and images and things. Is a way ahead of robotics. Robotics is a harder problem. And so they're still working on robotics, but they're making some breakthroughs.
Do you think there's been huge progress in robotics?
In the last few years, they're starting to crack the nut a little bit on that stuff. Again, by using very large models. But the roboticists are more humble than the folks that are talking about ChatGPT and stuff. They realize that these are problems of how do we make a thing that's competing with a 2 billion year old evolved being?
Exactly. Because the greatest thing we have is a brain.
We have a really good brain, yeah.
And there's no other. What we've seen through time, through evolution, is no one's been able to beat that. So we're at the top of the tree.
Mm-hmm. But we're also one of the reasons we are is that we're good tool makers, and AI is one of our tools.
Yes, that's humanistic AI, isn't it? It's a tool to make us better.
It makes us better. Yeah. If it's used as a tool, it's humanistic AI.
So cars now are self-drive. They can drive themselves.
Yeah. We hope they could do a better job, but they could do a better job.
Did you think they'd do a good job?
I mean, I think they'd probably do good as a lot of human drivers, but the standard is higher for machine. So we need to be superhuman drivers.
And what about us flying to work?
That's a matter of regulation of the airspace. There's not enough airspace for people to fly to work right now.
No, but it can happen, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine built the first flying taxi for Boeing. I mean, it can be done physically, but you'd have to rearrange how we organize our cities.
Well, we may have to.
Yeah, especially if we spread out a lot. Depends.
Well, we do that, don't we? I mean, you're in a small country now. This is our biggest city. You probably think no one lives here, and when you go south, you'll probably find that no one is there. But could AI turn against us?
Turn against you?
If you look at Jurassic Park. Okay, Jurassic Park.
Yeah. No, it could. It could. It most likely won't. Probably will turn against us. We will turn against us using AI before it will turn against us. That's the most likely scenario. So bad actors will get control of it.
Yes, that's what I mean. I suppose that rogue states get hold of it. Maybe, I don't know, North Korea.
Individuals too. Yeah,
individuals. Yeah, because it takes an individual to do it. I just wonder what they program against us.
Yeah, well, they could use. I mean, the point is, if you have something, especially if it's superhuman in certain things, like manipulating large people into thinking things that aren't true. Apparently, we can do that in the U.S. without even AI. But you can also do like money. You can make money illegally. You can do make weapons. You can make bioweapons. There's a lot of things that people are thinking about using AI. That would be democratizing a thing that's illegal and dangerous.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that could happen now, where there used to be 100 people fantasizing about doing that. Now there's 1 million people who could do it.
Yeah, and that's a bit like what social media has done to journalism.
Indeed.
Well, everyone's
Destroyed
a citizen hasn't it though?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, to call that a news feed on social media is just a crime.
Well, TikTok is a news feed.
Unbelievable.
Kids will come up to me and they say, "I've seen you on TikTok," and I say, "Great." And they say, "Oh, I've seen you on the news," and I said, "That's not the news."
Yeah.
But what do you think of TikTok?
Well, all those algorithmically driven troughs that you feed at are destroying the whole idea of information from authority. It's destroying our consensus reality. People say it's true because I saw it. And now with AI, deepfakes will make it so you cannot believe what you saw.
Well, you don't know what you saw.
Yeah, you have no idea. So, that combination of social media and AI is extremely toxic.
Yeah, and so it's now in the hands of 12, 13, 14, 10-year-olds, whatever. And I've got a 14-year-old son and his mates, and these guys are on these phones. I think that they're built with three hands. They have 2 hands and a phone attached to it as well. And is it dangerous for them?
Well, their brain. How old were they?
14.
Yeah, 14. Their brains aren't really completely well developed enough to understand, first of all, when they're being lied to or tricked, and also the manipulation techniques, that gambling techniques like that were used on TikTok and Facebook. Their brains are helpless, defenseless against those techniques.
They really are. But I mean, adult brains are defenseless against some of those algorithms on the online gambling. Yeah. So this is what you're liking it to. You're liking the TikToks to like a gambling tool.
Yeah, it's
for
like
kids.
a one-armed bandit.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, it started with the whole Facebook feed and Instagram and YouTube. They always play YouTube. Yeah. And then now TikTok. So it's the same game. They just and the real problem is the incentives that drive the advertising behind.
What's their aim? What's the aim of these firms? To keep these people attached to them?
It's all advertising. It's keep them addicted. Keep the eyeballs pinned.
They are addicted.
Yeah, it works.
That's really bad.
Yeah, 2 billion people. There's more people addicted to social media. Take YouTube and Facebook or TikTok than like the major world religions.
Wow.
Think about that.
So there's more people addicted to TikTok just on its own than addicted to Christianity.
Catholicism or something like that, yeah.
Holy
Crazy.
Shivers.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
The way you put that is it's frightening.
And that happened in 5 years. The religions took a few thousand years to get that popular.
Yeah, they were slow, weren't they? But it shows how masterful these things are. Yeah. Now, and they're still in their infancy, probably, are they?
Well, the scary scenario is what's today just old-fashioned AI, or last year's AI, which is not big line. It's just labeled data of what works to predict people, and it just trains the train. This now new idea is we have a relationship with the AI. It's your little buddy. And that's going to be even more persuasive.
I can see it when I go to turn off the internet or I try to take the phone off them or try and say, hey, that's enough for today. 8 hours a day. If you're on your phone 8 hours a day times 7 days, let's say 56 hours a week, you could get very good at basketball or any sport or any music instrument, anything. 56 hours.
Even attracting
what's it doing to them?
Friends, I mean, in the real world. Yeah.
They sit in the car and don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Because it's like this. They're going cross-eyed.
And there's no. And in the U.S., they're exempt from any kind of liability for the harm done. So I don't know if that's true in
I think they're exempt across the world, aren't they?
I mean, like there's actually laws that exempt them in the U.S. I don't know how you do it, but normally if you build a product that damages children like that, you'd be liable for it.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that here. No, it's not true. Okay. No, we'd be barely getting them to pay tax here. Are they, when it comes to morals, are they? I don't really want to get too deep on morals, but are they vacant?
Who's they?
Well, I say the TikTokers, the big.
I can't speak for the companies. I just know that the industry is incentivized by this advertising model, which says give away whatever it takes to get the eyeballs to stay, right? And so they'll do whatever it takes.
So go as low as you need to go.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, whatever it takes. Stay as long as you can. So you have it's
like a casino.
It's a casino. It could be YouTube. It could be TikTok. Any of those guys. As long as the incentives are engagement, they call it.
Engagement. But these kids are the most disengaged kids that in generations. And we had a researcher in here recently who said that today's generation coming through is no longer as smart as the one before. Now, we've always had smarter generations as we've gone through evolution, but not now, apparently, because of what they're getting.
Yeah. And this is an orthogonal point, but they believe they're multitasking.
Like men. So they believe they're doing good. They believe they've actually got knowledge.
They think they're getting twitchy. They can play this and talk to this and all at once. But the research shows that they're not actually effectively multitasking. It's actually reducing their effectiveness in all the tasks.
Yeah, and so, but it must be a better world still though, because in my day, and I'm younger than you, we had the encyclopedia that was sold by door-to-door salesman.
Yeah, that much longer.
You remember those days?
I read those things. They're amazing.
Oh, so did I. But Dad kept updating them every couple of years, you know. They'd come to the door and you buy the next one. Yeah. Or what you heard being said around you. So in classrooms, universities, or parents. So you were quite limited. But now, what kids are getting, they don't even know if it's true.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a class of kids that are going to be enlightened in the sense that they're going to understand their own epistemology. They're going to know how to make sense of what's true and not true, and they're going to know how to sort it out, that kind of thing. I mean, it can happen. You know, I mean, the upside of like that same ability to have anything you want is why they can have the best music selection in history forever.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Kids have that at least.
What would you, if you're a young person today, what would be your advice in terms of jobs in the future? What should they train in? What should they be good at? What should they choose? Because do you go and be a builder, or do you go and be a computer scientist? Do you go and be a computer technician?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a computer scientist. You remember the movie The Graduate?
Yes.
Plastics, my boy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not. The plastics of the current generation is probably going to say using AI tools to do something useful. Not just using AI, and certainly not making AI. It'll be done by the time they get out of school. Like how to make AI.
We know now.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of people working on it, and they're being paid a lot. They're going to get to. There's not going to be room for a whole bunch of more new jobs in making AI. But
so where are the jobs?
Applying AI, applying AI to solve. I mean, you have sheep farmers here. I mean, are they using AI? I don't know, but you certainly have a lot of other people.
They are. A lot of our farmers quite. Yeah, and you'll see this as you go around the country too. Where actually all we do have is sheep here. There's a few people with it, but there's.
Well, I actually remember from 20 years ago, there was a sheep robot, a shearing robot. It was one of the first robots that was deployed industrially. It was in a sheep.
Really?
It was either here or Australia.
Probably here, Australia. Yeah. We've got 40 million sheep. You'll meet them. So, but that's the thing. Our farms and our farmers. We have a big dairy company, Frontier. Those guys using AI every day in their farms.
Cool.
You know, because they predict weather and all sorts of patterns.
So all the young entrepreneurs that come in learn how to apply it to solve new problems.
Yes.
What's the new problem?
That's a humanistic approach.
That is, yeah. Especially if it's solving a problem that the humans are already trying to solve. And not trying to get rid of a human in a job already being sort of.
But it's already got rid of humans, hasn't it, in some parts?
I guess in some. I mean, for instance, I would throw under the bus call centers.
Yeah.
You know, they don't do a great job anyway, and the people hate their jobs, and they can be automated. So have them do something else. You know?
Yeah, so the computer voice just says, your call's important to us. You know it's not, because we've got a robot talking to you. But there must be other things too, like, you know, receptionists, even stock takers, all sorts of things in supermarkets. You know, you see robots taking
we do
goods.
have a lot of soft work out there. There's a lot of people who are employed just because there's extra jobs. I don't know how corporations work that way, but a lot of people spend a lot of time just writing memos to each other and having meetings. That can go away if you have a more streamlined sense of how to build your product. You
are responsible also, or partly responsible in terms of your background, for the fact that we can have virtual meetings. And so the work from home phenomena was without that, our work from home wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, well, you say I'm not responsible for any of that.
But but the virtual space.
The virtual space.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I think that's. By the way, that's I think one of the best things New Zealand can do is become a world class at virtual collaboration. And
what do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. Like right now, the kind of work that's lucrative doesn't depend on location or near a river or whatever. It doesn't really depend on anything that is localized to nations.
You say it's borderless. The world becomes borderless in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a music company, for instance, AI music company. We're in 5 countries. We have no headquarters. We have nobody. There's no office.
You don't need one.
We don't need one anymore. But we're good at collaborating over many time zones. And that's a skill, and the technology. There's not that much tech around, but you use it here right now.
Yeah, and this brings a whole new question around: do you become an owner of a building? Do you need to put yourself into a CBD, or are you out in the country? Mm-hmm. If we've got fast broadband, so what do you need? Is this the death of the CBD?
Well, a lot of people who, like in these other Silicon Valleys, even Silicon Valley, they were because young people wanted to live there.
Yes.
Right? The beautiful rolling hills of California look a lot like New Zealand. Right? So people want to live here. And you could just build a way for people to live here and do their jobs. I have a friend who works at Intuitive Surgicals as a very successful robotic surgery company. They have a thing here going on in New Zealand.
How, just in summing things up, and it's been a pleasure to meet you and to listen to you, amazing. How advanced is this going to get? We're at the cusp of something huge. Your predictions,
Yeah, and I think we're going to have something that's general purpose within 5 or 10 years.
What does that mean?
Which means that essentially a lot of what knowledge workers do will be something you can offload to a machine. Now, the skill in doing that will be like having an outsourced thing. Well, like a lot of this busy work in typing, reading, and writing stuff that happens all the time, that'll be offloaded. But even some things like strategy, even some realm of research, for example, hey, go investigate all the possible drugs for this active biological pathway, or to figure out all the ways to make money in this market. There's going to be a lot of things like that are going to be super intelligence will be able to do.
What about when I walk into my house? Can the kitchen work out what I need and want?
It's been possible to do that for decades. It's just a matter of who.
But we haven't done it yet. We have sort of done it, but not.
Well, it depends on how you. It all depends on how you want to let it know. If you want to have to tell it, you can do it today. If you ever want to guess, then you need to let it into your personal data life, and that's a new thing. So, like, do you want it to there's people talking about making toilets that have sensors in them, sense what's going on that end. Look in your fridge and see everything you put in there, and then they can figure out what's good for you.
Yeah, what your past behavior is, so they can repeat it. Did you think it's turned us lazy?
It won't make us lazy. It'll make us hungry, I think. It also makes us more, I think, and when done right, it can make us do more things that we want to do. So, for example, I use generative AI to make imagery because I can't do it myself.
Yes.
But now I can do these beautiful pictures that kind of capture visual metaphors. And I think that's true of a lot of things. The way we're trying to do music is the same way. We want to make music for musicians want to make music with AI, not make musicians to get rid of musicians.
Yeah, I see. So make them better musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are all people in AI have that approach?
I mean, not all of them. I mean, there's a lot of them just basically trying to make money. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are obviously.
And so I mean, and there are ways to do the non-humanistic way. We just go off to a company and say, "I'll cut your costs by eliminating your labor in X area." Yeah, but that's not the strategy I use.
Yeah, just finally, rogue states and rogue people. Those that are the companies in Silicon Valley aware and very wary of these individuals, and are they pushing back on them, or?
Well, the Silicon Valley companies are trying to put what they call guardrails around their technology. I would hope that we could do a better job than we're doing, but and so far there hasn't been any major accidents. But there are going to be rogue people who are trying to build bioweapons and other kinds of nasty things using the intelligence from the AI to help them. And they haven't done it yet, and we haven't crossed that line yet. But it's not clear that they're going to be protected, that the society is protected just yet from the things that.
It's the deep fake stuff that's a worry, isn't it? Because we've got the voice stuff now. You've got the audio with the video. In the last few weeks, a person here was scammed, deep fake, by the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister comes on with the scam. 200, I think, was it 200 grand or 300? A lot of money.
Wow.
A person gave up this money to Christopher Luxon, our Prime Minister. It wasn't him, of course.
Yeah.
But it looked like him, sounded like him.
In my family, we have special code words to use with each other in case one of us pretends to be is a deepfake's calling for asking for money, whatever. The deepfakes are here now. So the wave of all this scam stuff is just beginning. It's going to be huge.
But they target people. They also target people who don't know much about this. So, like my mother, she was scammed, 20 grand. Managed to get it back, but these people are older and slightly more naive about the technology. I don't say it as an insult, I just say it's the generation.
Yeah, well, sometimes even when they're like, there was a case recently of $25 million that was authorized by the CFO in a Zoom call to transfer to a supplier. Well, the Zoom call had a fake CFO. The supplier was fake. It was all deep fakes.
So, but this comes to, this can happen in election campaigns. I mean, is it really real what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, that's really that breakdown in consensus reality is a big issue.
It's just about credibility and trust. Who do you trust?
Yeah.
And who is this person really speaking to me? How will people know?
Yeah, well, this is like what we have here. Face to face is going to be more valuable, I think.
That's right. So that you can monetize that. Trump.
It's really too bad what happened. But, the problem is people voted their pockets instead of understanding that they're voting for a felon, narcissist, self-centered guy. And they forgot about the person.
They forgot about Capitol Hill. They forgot about
all the people who used to work for him and running saying, please don't vote for him. He's a fascist and he's scary. His former employees, military generals, all these people said, don't vote. So it was a mistake of the political system. And it was because, the margin, people thought their job as voters was to vote their pocketbook, and they were believed that it was the right thing. I was really disappointed, and we're in big grief basically in the U.S.
But he didn't just sneak in. He came in by some
he said
margin.
what he's going, and the stuff. If he does even half of what he's doing, we're in deep trouble. Democracy is. I hope he doesn't do what he said he was going to do.
Well, he says he's going to do it, doesn't it? I mean, do you believe he will?
I believe unless he's restrained, he will.
What do you think is the worst thing that he could do?
Well, he threatened to use the military against his political opponents. That's unconstitutional, immoral, and dangerous.
Well,
for someone who owns the nuclear codes to destroy the world.
Do you think he'll do it?
He also was threatening to nuke North Korea on his last term,
yes.
And he was stopped by his military person who's now not there.
Oh, you think he's unhinged?
I think he's read the studies of. I think he's got early signs of dementia, but it's not my diagnosis. It's professionals.
Yeah.
But he's also just a narcissist, and it's dangerous to. I mean, look, you're a seasoned executive businessman. Would you do business with someone who had the? I mean.
I struggle to get through one of the speeches. Rambling,
yeah,
repetitive. It's not the work of a leader of a country.
No, he's only in it for himself. But somehow he touched the nerve
It's like revenge.
of anger.
It's revenge, isn't it?
It's revenge in a way. Yeah, people are like, I'm so mad. I don't care who I'm voting for. And it's just, it's really sad what happened. And I just hope we don't, if he gets all three branches of government, he could do some serious damage.
Well, look, I think will he get all three?
He's on the way to.
Looks like he will.
Yeah.
You see, then what? He'll believe he has a mandate, which if you have all three branches in America, you do.
Yeah, and legally he has the right to destroy the world. He could individually authorize a nuclear strike by himself.
That's how it works in America.
That's how it works. That's the law, and that's the right he has.
Is someone sort of hanging out? Is there an aide hanging over his arm to pull the?
Nobody can stop him. But they will. I assume that the military would actually fall on the sword and disobey the orders.
Well, the public service in Washington, they what's their view of him?
He's firing the ones he doesn't like.
He's done it before.
Yeah. Well, now he knows how he's doing. He knows where the skeletons are now.
Well, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, he knows. No, he said that. He's basically putting foxes in the hen house. So, like the EPA that protects the environment, he's putting a lobbyist for the fossil fuel industry in charge of the EPA because the lobbyist is an expert at dismantling the EPA.
Yeah, and Elon Musk wants some of his people inside. Is it NASA or is it the Pentagon or?
He's being offered. He offered Elon the sort of efficiency thing.
Yes,
I don't know what that means. But I mean, Elon's a major government contractor. He takes a lot of money from the government for the space work.
He's heavily involved in this re-election.
Conflict of interest to be regulating that business.
To me, it looks like it's a very dangerous relationship. It's not checked, obviously. There's no one checking it.
He also owns a major propaganda channel now.
Yeah, X.
Yeah. So all that stuff is very worrying for us, but I will get through it somehow. You did
last time.
Yeah. There's midterms in 2 years, so they can pass laws for about 2 years, and then we can stop them from passing laws maybe, but we'll see.
Is he more dangerous this time than last time?
Much, because he knows what he's doing now. He was a complete novice. He didn't expect to win last time.
No, he was surprised.
Yeah.
But has he got good people around him or not?
Good people? No, I wouldn't. I mean,
his
anyone
people.
who worked for him, I would never talk to again if I heard they worked for Trump. I mean, those are not good people. They're betraying the country. I mean, to service, to enable a guy like that.
Yeah.
You got me going here. This is an interesting podcast, but I don't mind because I believe this.
No. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. That's all. Because I mean, I was so glued to it the other night. Yeah. I couldn't believe the way it came home for him.
Literally, like millions of people are in serious grief and depression.
We have such short memories.
Yeah. Well, also you mentioned about the days of in reading encyclopedias. I mean, huge numbers of experts, they've never seen the rise of the Third Reich. They don't know what the World War II was. They don't know what happened with fascism.
Well, wasn't that long ago?
Right wings do take over the world occasionally if you let them.
Well, yes, and this group is motivated and voting. Some of them voting for the first time.
Yeah.
Did Black America vote for him?
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, a lot of Americans voted for him. I mean, this was really disappointing. And so to turn it back into sort of the AI conversation, it's like, what's the biggest problem that we could probably solve in AI? It's collective intelligence. So now we've shown that collective stupidity is what we have,
Yes.
right? As we get in larger groups, we make dumber mistakes. But actually, AI can help us be smarter collectively. And there are some good examples of that. Like, essentially if you have science, it's a great example. Science is the most effective collective knowledge-making machine, right?
Yes.
And AI can amplify science now. Now, journalism was part of our information feed, which is part of our collective knowledge system. That got broken.
It's been really broken.
Yeah.
And it's on its knees. Not dead yet, but you think close to?
Well, I mean, this is where I would say a great entrepreneur could come in there, try to use AI to rescue. There's people trying to rescue.
We've created this
business.
podcast through AI. We've all the data, everything we've done in here is largely some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a battle.
Yeah.
There's only 5 million people here trying to find an audience. But hey, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Big respect, and thank you for answering my questions and for making time for us. Really appreciate it.
This has been great.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the country. Where are you going to? South Island?
South Island after this, yeah. It'll be fun.
You may not, with Trump in charge, you may stay there. Yeah, my people can talk to your people.
Especially what I just said on your podcast.
You may never return. I appreciate your time.
All right. Good
okay,
meeting you.
all 3 best. Yeah, well done.
Take care.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, what a marvellous man, what a fantastic guy, and so much knowledge and interesting on Trump there too, wasn't it? I'll take your feedback. On this. All details are on screen. Let us know what your thoughts are. Whew. How do you describe Trump? Well, it doesn't trump the interview, but it's pretty full on. But it won't surprise you, will it, at all? I'll get some of the feedback. We'll go through some of the feedback very shortly as well. But what an interview! What a great guy. Let us know your thoughts. All details are on screen there. Let's do 3 questions.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief.
Okay, so number 1, the Hiko is on its way, but will it be as big as 2004? I don't think it will be. No way. Not because they're not organised. They're really organised, but because it is based on something that won't happen, which is this treaty principles debate. It's a debate into the first reading. It's over. 2004, it was real. Māori had their day in court taken from them, ripped from them by the Labour government. So they were heading to court, and the government said, no, we're changing the law so you can't. That had real meaning. 25,000 people turned up. Number 2, is David Seymour a racist? That's what everyone says, that Seymour's a racist. What's the most racist thing I ever saw in Parliament in 20 years? It's the Foreshore and Seabed Bill. To deny Māori, a particular group of people in New Zealand, their right to their day in court, I thought was a shocking denial of a basic right. That's way worse than what's happening at the moment. And number 3, Cooking the Books, a very good podcast, has gone from our feed. Frances Cook, the woman behind it, appears to have had it taken from her, stolen from her, by the New Zealand Herald, the NZME. Now, they wouldn't do that, would they? She went on maternity leave, so she left, thinking she'd take the podcast with her, but they wouldn't let her, so they blocked her taking it. I'll keep digging. I smell a rat here, but how nasty. Who would do that?
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, Isaac, I'll bring you in here, sir.
Hello.
What an amazing guy.
Oh, yeah, that was super interesting.
Wasn't it, though?
Yeah,
What a cool guy.
Wow, yeah, heaps of experience and a very smart guy, which is very handy when you're having a conversation like this.
But what about the takeaways for me, apart from the Trump stuff, we'll get to that later, but the takeaways for me, the eyeballs, it's all about eyeballs. They don't care how they get these kids or how they get them, but they want to get them addicted and they want to hold them. God, that's scary, mate.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I know what he's saying because I've done a little bit of looking into it, and Forrester, a regular on the show as a producer, is also very savvy with his AI stuff.
Yes.
And yeah, what he was saying about how, you were talking about the whole kitchen thing and how can I walk into my house and AI knows what I want for dinner, and how AI is smart, but it only learns what you let it learn.
Correct.
And so I feel like lots of people get very, very scared about the idea of AI, and lots of it isn't unjustified.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the people that are making this stuff, they aren't stupid, and so they know that, and so they give it limitations, and they only let it learn what you give it.
Yes.
And so that's the whole thing with the new Apple.
And the sky doesn't
Siri.
fall in. I mean, the sky won't fall in because jobs are replaced by other jobs. So there's new industries are created all the time. We need to get our heads around that too. I was interviewed him for so long that the screen has locked so I can't see the feedback, Isaac. But can you run through some of that?
Funny.
Some of that feedback, because there's heaps of it there, right? Just started pouring in.
Yes, there was great. Lots of stuff, lots of support, and lots of people very interested in what Tom had to say. Let's have it's become a less trustable world now, Bradley says, just based off the back of your AI and deepfake conversation. The only way old people not to get scammed by AI is to learn it. Hope it's evident the moment you stop learning, you could be a target.
Yeah.
Says Patch 860, which I totally agree with. And what else have we got here? A bunch of stuff about Trump. Bradley reckons there might be a mass exodus incoming. I assume people leaving the US.
See, the property searches in New Zealand, the information came out tonight, and there was a 130% increase in people looking at from America, from the west coast of America, coming to New Zealand here to live.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Looking at houses. Okay, let's go.
Duncan Garner, live. It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so this hikoi to Parliament has set off from the far north. What's it coming for? Well, what is it that this collective of Māori want? As I presume, not all Māori will join this or support it, right? It would be wrong to think that because you're Māori, you automatically support this hikoi. And across the board, all Māori hate this government. I mean, it simply isn't true. You look at the way they vote. So you've set off to protest, so what is it you're protesting about? Māori leaders have said that this government's moves against Māori are dangerous and chilling, and the relationship is now deeply fractured and fraught. That's what they've said. The Waitangi Tribunal said that too. So let's look at what's changed. The Māori Health Authority was merged into Health New Zealand, so they lost their identity there. Some government departments had their English name come first rather than just the Māori name, so that's changed. It's surface stuff, that, to be honest. And David Seymour has been allowed his desperate little dance over the meaning of the treaty principles, which, crucially, won't go anywhere, because National says it will not support it past the first reading, so past the State Committee. It won't come out of State Committee and have national support. So it's dead in the water. It won't go any further than State Committee. Hear me again. This uproar over the Treaty Principles Bill isn't worth frothing at the mouth over. It will never make it back into the Parliament for a second reading. It's dead. And the treaty will remain untouched. Yet the hikoi appears to be exercised over this. Have you been fed wrong information? Have you been wound up by other people? National says it will stop it. But Luxon, in his moment of ignorant and inexperienced madness, allowed David Seymour his 7.5 minutes in the sun, which is about what he's going to get on this, because that's how the coalition negotiations went. He got his way. But ultimately, National was smart enough to put in that caveat, which said no more. It won't go any further. But is the hikoi really marching over what I've just set out, those three things? Sure, some Māori programs have had their funding cut, but who didn't get their funding cut? We all did. Every department, apart from Winston's Foreign Affairs, they're special. Heavens, I've worked on programs where the whole station was cut. All government programs, all departments, right across the board have faced cuts. Māori aren't special on that anyway. 6.5% to 7%. Margaret Mutu, long-time outspoken activist, Māori activist, says the attempt to define the treaty principles is the worst assault on Māori that she has seen in 40 years. The worst assault. These punches won't even get landed, Margaret. I say, what about the foreshore and seabed bill? It was way worse. It denied Māori the right, as I said, to go to court. Although back then, she said, at the time then, she said that was a, quote, declaration of war. Language which incites probably rather than is helpful. If that was a declaration of war, now it's the worst assault. Everything's the worst ever. Did you forget what you called it? It's why even bother giving Seymour what he wants? This is the reaction he wants because it gives him more votes. If you go up in arms, it looks like something's happening. Forget him. I don't want a race war in this country. Luxon should never have entertained it, but he has. And it's why the coalition talks were stalled for some time, because Seymour, they didn't know what to do about him, you see. So they've taken it to the first reading, that's it. So Luxon found the compromise, but Māori need to read the fine print. Nothing will change except for the hot air in the lead-up in the march to Wellington. The last big hikoi in 2004, I was there, covered it, had real meaning. That's why 25,000 showed up. That was massive. Your skin was tingling. Labour, who to this day I say introduced the most racist law of anyone, which was the foreshore and seabed bill, when they stopped a group of Māori from having their day in court to test the ownership of the foreshore. Helen Clark responded by enshrining the foreshore in the public ownership via the Crown. Outrageous! Blocking this group who had done all the right work, and they were off to court, and they just came in and stopped it. I remember the day, remember the afternoon. Blocking a legitimate day in court. So Taliana Turia, left the Labour Party and formed the Māori Party. It came from that. And that's why when they turned up in that hikoi, they were there for her. They had a reason to be there. But what's the reason now? To turn up for Seymour's bill that's going nowhere? I'm struggling to find anything of equal importance. The organisers say it's going to be a peaceful march to demonstrate support for Te and why Te is for everybody, and to acknowledge that this is a space to challenge the harms of colonisation and work towards a Te-based future where Māori sovereignty and rights are upheld. I don't know what it means. They're coming to town because they oppose Seymour's attempt to restate the principles of the treaty. I can't see how that has got them so worked up because it's not going anywhere. If National said they're going to do it, then I accept that. I accept that you go and march to high heaven. But this is going nowhere. It's nothing more than posturing and politics and dog whistle. The bill's dead in the water. Now this gives it legs. What is it you want? I don't understand what you want. What is it beyond this that Māori want? You want your own system? Well, I stand against that because that's apartheid, isn't it? Māori still have their own TV channel, your Māori news, you have Māori schools. I know because my kids have been in them at all levels. Māori are still funded to go into education, Māori into universities, Māori words all through the hospital. I was in the hospital over the weekend, a mate of mine had a bit of a turn. And it says Māori words everywhere. None of them have been taken away. It's still te whatu order. I saw it all right through the hospital. I saw Māori being attended to. I saw Pākehā waiting in the waiting room. They put a couple of English names before Māori names for various agencies, but surely that hasn't caused a march. Surely not. Treaty settlements are ongoing, and there's top-ups as well. So the big iwi have done really well, and Ngāi Tahu is worth more than $1 billion. And we've been doing these, the harms of colonisation. We've had the Waitangi Tribunal now for 50 years. Been doing it since 1975, and it's still going. There were historical wrongs, and we're sorry, and we're fixing them. And I accept that the government coming down hard on gangs, they need to. Who supports the gangs? They still fund Te Matatini, still funded. So I say to the iwi in the north, settle your claim, sit down with the government. It's been 50 years since the Waitangi Tribunal was set up. You're being left behind. I can understand why you're being left behind, because you're not at the table. Get busy, working towards a settlement. Look at Ngāi Tahu. I predict the Hiko won't be anything like 2004 because it's founded on sort of scaremongering and chat and talk and hyping people up through social media rather than anything substantial at all, really.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, Isaac, I think that is us. It's been a long show and a good show. I'm pretty pleased with it. It was great. I'm buzzing over Tom.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Tom was great.
Wasn't he?
If you've joined us late and you missed the chat, you can go back and watch it on YouTube, or it'll be up as a podcast shortly, because that was a very eye-opening conversation about someone who's deep into the world of technology.
Hey, Siri, let's call it a day.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, how's your weekend?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been good. Pretty chill one for me. I unfortunately didn't get to go to Pearl Jam.
Right.
I was hoping to go, but circumstances meant that I couldn't, which was a shame. But it looked fantastic. And so if you went there, well done.
Yeah.
Hope it was great.
Man, they've been here a number of times now. Pearl Jam.
Oh, yep.
They're still rockers, mate, rockers.
Yeah, 2 shows on Friday and Sunday, and they looked to absolutely rip.
You know, I had an interesting weekend. A mate of mine had a heart attack.
Yeah. So were you in the hospital just all week with him?
All weekend, yeah.
All weekend, sorry, yeah.
And a lot of people waiting in waiting rooms, and there's not enough staff in there, so they don't actually admit patients. So there are lots of empty beds. Yeah. And my son had a mate there too, so we both had people in there, and lots of empty beds.
Yes, yeah, it's a real problem.
Staff amazing, but lots of empty beds because we haven't got the staff. We're not employing nurses. We've blocked that because there's a freeze on. Old Luxon freezing. They're not employing nurses. They need them in there.
They need them. They need.
I don't understand when you cut budgets, but you need nurses.
Yeah, it's all over New Zealand as well. I know lots of people studying to be nurses in Christchurch and in Canterbury, and Christ Hospital was just. The hours that the nurses are pulling there are insane, and it's not just the hospital.
We've trained them; they're ready to be employed, and they're not being employed.
Yeah, and it's not just the hospital; it's private clinics, it's everything. It's insane.
That is us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, guys, and wherever you get your podcasts, of course. Thank you for your feedback and support. Lots of feedback tonight. Really appreciate it. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Isaac, the man of the moment, the man in charge, and Forrester at large, thank you very much. We'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, life, no dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. As my mate found over the weekend, this is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. Get out, enjoy the evening, enjoy the day tomorrow, and have a great one. Take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.